Hello everybody, my name is Nick and you're watching for the Leet unboxing video for the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K and the comparison between the 4K and 6K camera. Now, when we open the box, first thing that we see is this welcome booklet and the DaVinci Resolve Studio. Now here on this card, I cannot show you obviously, the other side is the code for the activation code for the DaVinci Resolve. Now here we have the power brick, the adapter for the European connection, this is the one that I got, and here we have the LP6 battery. Then when we move this bit up, here we have the camera and there's basically nothing below. That's all. Now you might have noticed I did not get the instruction booklet. This will become obvious very soon. Now when we look at the box, we do have here some instructions which button does, and that's basically all you really need, because the menu is extremely easy to use, and it's just so simple that there's no need for actual instructions. Now when we look at this, on this side we have connection for the SD card and the CFast connection. Here we have connections for the audio in, 12 volts power connection, USB, HDMI, and here we have the microphone and headphone connection. And here we have connection for the battery. I have already placed the original Canon's battery. This is LPE6 battery. So when we want to turn this on, you just slide this switch here, and that's all we really need. Now we do have all of the necessary connections, necessary commands right here or here, and that's basically all you really need. Now to enter the menu, you press this button. What is the difference between 4K and 6K? The biggest difference, most people say, is that later you can reframe your frame basically. This is not really reasonable for movie makers and that type of shoots. Now if you are shooting interviews, if you are shooting things where you don't really have the ability to just say, okay, we'll do another take, that's not really reasonable to say, okay, I will reframe it when I get home. That's just not something people do. Now, if you're shooting something that you cannot stabilize your footage enough, and you have to come back with shaky footage, then it's reasonable to say, okay, I will actually just shoot it and then reframe it when I get home. And obviously with the 6K you can stabilize the footage, sorry, not reframe it, but stabilize it when I get home, and the software will shrink the footage, it will crop it basically, and then you'll end up with higher quality than 4K if you're shooting it in 6K. And then later, if your final product has to be 4K, great. anything else, I would say it's unreasonable. If you're shooting movies, 4K is more than enough. The step up between the 4K and 6K is not really that major, and most of us either use 4K monitors, or most of us realistically use Full HD monitors. So it's not really, there's no need for 6K camera just on the 6K basis and saying, okay, I want 6K final product. You don't really need it. 4K is more than enough. Now if you're shooting something that's not really that predictable, and where you don't have full control over what you're shooting, then 6K might be a better option. Obviously there are some differences as well. 6K has the EF mount. This has the MFT mount. This is obviously different. It's a 4/3 sensor. It's full HD. It's about 1.63, 1.65 crop factor on the 6K model. This has much higher crop factor, but with the speed booster you could get it far less of the crop factor than with the 6K, something about 1.4, 1.3 even, with the specific type of speed boosters. Obviously there's supposedly a speed booster that's gonna come out, which will allow us to just permanently, or it will be more of a permanent solution than just a mount, the adapter which would go inside much closer to the sensor, and which would make this something like a full frame camera, not quite a full frame, but much closer to a full frame with almost no crop factor, virtually no crop factor. At least when it comes to the width, it will not be on this axis, but here it will be like a full frame. Here it will be a bit shorter. Also there is a tiny difference between the ISO sensitivity. It's a bit better with the 6K, and in some cases where you do have noise on this camera, you will not have it on 6K. This is very, very slight, but there is a difference. So for some people that's really, really important. For most people it's not really that important. And basically that's about it. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like, comment and subscribe. Until the next time, goodbye.